how do you get people to see that, yeah, maybe you don't need to go into debt to get that next thing. Maybe you don't need to keep on buying more stuff. How do you get them to see that when it's so ingrained in us as human beings that we need more stuff in order to be safe in life?
Yeah. Well, we're really talking about two drives, two countervailing drives. One of which is the drive for status and security, which is very deep in our biological nature, and that's a drive that makes us want to have more power and more stuff, and that's balanced by another drive that's more socially developed, that often depends upon education, and we're talking about virtually all human cultures that we're aware of. A drive that says, look, in order for us to have a cooperative, successful social group, whether it's a tiny hunter-gatherer band or a civilization, we all have to cooperate. We have to moderate our desire for power. We have to not be bullies. We have to look out for each other. We have to moderate our consumption. And human nature is a balancing act between these two things. And over time, societies have developed ways of punishing bullies. Long ago, in hunter-gatherer times, perhaps going back to the Paleolithic times, before where we have to go into the archaeological record to see evidence. It appears that human groups maintained their civility, their cooperation, by systematically getting rid of bullies. If one of the men in the group, and it was always a man for, I'm sure, biological reasons, if one of the men in the group started to, get his way all the time and assert himself and in a way that was detrimental to everyone else in the group, everybody else would just kind of get together quietly and then take him out.
Yeah.
Capital punishment. And over time, this actually had a civilizing effect, although civilization, it comes much later, a moderating effect on human aggression and aggressiveness. And we developed this countervailing, cultural drive toward civility, toward cooperation, toward self-moderation. But it's an ongoing battle. And what's happened over the last century, as we were talking about earlier, with fossil fuels, economic growth, and consumerism, has tilted the scales in a way that's profoundly unsettling for our future and fate as a species. Because unless we get this back under control, unless we rebalance those scales and do so pretty quickly and effectively, we'll just consume ourselves to extinction. And one of the effects, of course, of that consumption is waste, the production of waste. And one of those wastes is carbon dioxide going to the atmosphere, causing climate change. But that's not the only limiting factor to our continued growth, but it's one that a lot of us are starting to pay attention to.